And we are live. Hey everybody, how you doing on this I was gonna say Wednesday, but it's Thursday. We got our first snow today, actually, guys.
Nice.
I woke up to a good few inches.
I saw Ben Combs post about that. He blamed it on early Christmas movies, I think.
Early Christmas movies?
Or decoration or whatever. My wife was watching a Christmas movie earlier tonight.
All right, I'm just okay, there we go. It's working. All right. So I'd like to welcome to the Hack Show today. I've got both PJ, who's on this side of me. Nope, this is always weird. It's the opposite. And below, I've got Jason, who is AKA the Beard. How you guys doing tonight?
Great,
man. Thanks for having us on. This is really great.
Oh, awesome, man! Like I watch your streams. I'm trying to remember when I started watching you guys. It hasn't been a tremendous amount of time. At least a couple months. How long have you guys been doing it?
Well, the streams
or the channel.
The streams might be a month or two. Yeah, the streams haven't been, because for a while there we were streaming on Facebook, but that was just like, friends and non-guitar players. So we decided when the channel got a little bit bigger, we moved it over to YouTube. So maybe about 2 months.
Okay. So
the channel, I think our first video was published like January 15th, as far as that goes. But as far as streaming, that's been a recent addition.
Okay. All right. Before we get into the conversation here, let me just
get some shout outs.
Yeah, let me say hello to some of the people, because we've had some people here lined up for a while. We're up to 21 already, which is awesome. We got Terry Himes here. Hey man, how are you? Joe Hervey is here.
Oh, Joe.
Six String Brian, how's it going? Just rolling down. Brian S. My NAM buddy, and hopefully Gearfest buddy when we get together again next year. Bearded Blues dude is in here. Brad Miller is in here.
That's a name I can get with.
I'm like, yeah, Jason is here.
Yeah. Phil Mosley Music, Todd Flowers. I'm probably going to say names twice. I always do. Michael B is in here. Hey, man. Okay, just working my way down here. Paul Lou is in here. Thrash is in here. Wow, man. Janice, welcome, Janice. I let the ad play. You're welcome, Guitarhack. Appreciate that, Brad Miller. I get ads now, right? I just 2 weeks ago or something, I finally cracked that 1,000 threshold, so now I get ads.
Congratulations.
Yeah. Well, it took
a big achievement, man. Yeah, big achievement. It's not easy.
Yeah, it's not easy, man. Spencer Cron is here. How are you? Waleed, hey, man. Dale Palmer, Rick Hefner, Dwight Bailey, Paul's Guitar Music, Brian Landreth, Peter Brown. All right, cool. If anyone's got
Chicken Guitars.
Chicken Guitars. I miss Chicken Guitars.
Yeah. Well, we just started following her the other day, so.
Oh, cool.
Out of me.
She's getting close there too. Gary Tholander, welcome. Dry Heat, hey buddy. If anyone's got any questions while we're going here, just tag me. You're in the chat. Are both of you guys in the chat? Because if you're in the chat, then they can tag you.
They can tag PJ and the Beard in there.
Okay, cool. All right.
I think we're
welcome.
I'm going to trust my partner to tell me what the comments are, because on my phone, I'm only seeing you two beautiful gentlemen.
No, well, that's unfortunate.
Because I'd be like Ron Burgundy and just read anything that pops up on the screen anyway. Nobody wants that.
Hey, I've fallen victim to that a couple of times. Cool. All right. So we were just started asking you. So you started your channel. You said January of this year, 15th. Yeah. And so what prompted you guys to start a YouTube channel?
I blame it on Jason, so I'll let him start.
That's beautiful. Well, it was one of those. My wife might be in here, so I gotta be careful. Under the guise of we didn't want to bother our wives with gear talk anymore, but also, I don't know. Pat and I've been playing together a year or two, 3, 2 maybe. Every Sunday, we're bringing in new gear, new guitars, whatever, playing, but it's always like, hey, you should check this out. But we never would have time to do that. So it's kind of like an excuse to get together, hang out, play some guitar, play some gear, talk about it. So essentially, it's like what we would have done if we weren't doing YouTube. We just turned cameras on and filmed.
Right.
So, and it's been fun. It's been and to kind of build that community of people to talk with, which already really, exists. It's just you become part of it, I guess. And, so guys like you, and then you got shout out to Brian Landreth because he stumbled upon the channel a while back and was like, hey, you got to check out these guys, right? So that's how we kind of got into this community a little bit and started following the people over here. So it's been pretty cool. But yeah, I mean, that's kind of it. Let's get together and play some gear and talk about guitars and play a little bit, and let's carve out a piece of our life because we're both pretty busy. So let's carve out a piece of our lives and then wrap that around an excuse that makes us actually do it.
Right. So you guys know each other from playing together. So you guys are where do you guys play together?
Right, we're sitting.
Yeah, we play together here. I'm in my church actually. That's how we met, through a mutual friend, a drummer. Jason apparently had been coming to the church and hiding in the shadows in the back of the room. And my friend Gary on the drums said, hey, my friend Jason's coming here for a couple months. I'd love to have him come play. Should he come out to a rehearsal? And I'm like, yeah, sure. And have him bring guitar and let's play. So I did what everybody does, and I went and stalked his social media, and I saw his profile picture with a PRS, and I'm like, this is my kind of guy. And he showed up at practice and was on the opposite side of the stage over there, and kind of gave him the head nod for a solo in a song, and he took a solo, and the bass player behind him was kind of looking at me with the eyebrow up like, yeah, this is going to work. And then later, as Jason's playing, the bass player does something, and Jason turns around and looks at the bass player, and I'm like, this is going to work out just great. So it's been interesting to get to know him because we have different backgrounds. I mean, I think Jason, he can talk for himself, but he kind of cut his teeth on blues and maybe playing out more, and I kind of cut my teeth in church, shockingly enough. But we've got some mutual influences and some very different influences, which in my opinion sort of makes the channel a little more diverse because we don't think exactly the same, don't have the same influences, but like some of the same stuff. So
right. The church thing for me is always like we don't really have that up in Canada. We don't have that church thing. Like, I mean, the church that I go to, like they'll have, they used to have a band. And they would be, sort of up and away from everyone, and they would play like the odd song, but it would be like a guy just strumming an acoustic guitar with maybe some drums and like very, very minimal. Right. But I noticed since joining the community, there's a lot of folks in here that's their regular gig every Sunday.
It's where the bar musicians retire. There's a lot of truth to that too.
It's just it's strange. Like that whole phenomenon is something that I've just learned about since I started doing the YouTube thing. There's a lot of people. Like Brad Miller, he's one that I was talking to him this a while back, and he's like, I got to learn all these songs, and I'm like, oh, you got a gig. I'm thinking he's gonna play a bar.
Right.
No, I got a church gig. I'm like, wow, man. So there's a lot of that.
The first time I ever went to rehearse in a church, Pat knows where I'm going, but
it was somewhere else. Not here.
It was somewhere else. But I've been gigging in bars for 2-3 nights a week for years, and I walked in with my amp and walked in with my guitar. Took my guitar out, pulled the strap out. I'm like, ooh, it smells a little bit. And then opened the case with like all the cables with the beer and the cigarette book, and it just stunk to play. So it smelled like a bar at 2 a.m. in about 30 seconds. But I shortly thereafter that's kind of mortified a little bit. But then shortly thereafter realized that just about every person on that stage was, like I said, a retired musician from playing club gigs when they were younger. So.
They smelled that familiar smell and went into confession mode. I do bars too, man. It's cool. Like, it's all right, man.
So, but I mean, you can turn them up. You can still have amps on stage and turn them up and play.
So okay. So again, because I'm an outsider to all this, so describe to me what a typical church gig would encompass.
I don't know that we're a typical church gig.
Well,
Yeah.
your church gig.
Sure. Yeah, I mean, for us, the band rotates slightly. We generally have 2 electric guitars, a bass, drums, 3 or 4 vocalists. Play 6 songs generally. Like we're the first 25 minutes of the service. Generally start with some kind of upbeat song, kind of getting everybody's attention, get them out of the lobby and stop drinking coffee and come in. And so it kind of goes from fast songs to kind of get your attention. And as the service moves on, it gets closer to the pastor coming up. Songs get a little bit more slower, a little more reflective, and gives us a chance to really play in a diverse way, right? So in the opening song, maybe you're playing something with a lot of overdrive and Jason played the Harley Benton last week, 1P90, kind of ripping through some stuff in the opening song. And then as the set goes on, you kind of use different effects and different things. And so it's you can draw on all of your experiences, right? Like you can draw on your influences that you listen to, some Zeppelin, some Hendrix, whatever. It's just like your expression as a player and your God-given talent sort of just comes out in those moments. So it's interesting to play with different people with different backgrounds. And we don't do kind of the note for note thing with some of the songs. So we kind of put our own flavor on it, which to me, and I think the musicians that come and play with us, I think they kind of like that. So I don't know if I answered your question, but
yeah, no, what type of material do you play? Like, give me a typical set list.
Yeah, so a lot of them are other popular Christian artists. Like there's a guy, Lincoln Brewster, fantastic guitar player, played with Joe Perry back in the day from Journey. So a lot of Lincoln Brewster stuff. There's a guy, Chris Tomlin, who's written just anthemic Christian songs. And then there's other groups like churches out of New Zealand and New York, like Hillsong and Jesus Culture. There's quite a few that we draw from. We haven't delved into original songs here. I've been to other places that have. So a lot of those types of artists is who we kind of gravitate towards. And frankly, I keep looking over here because the stage is over here. I look at the singers and just ask them what songs they want to sing, because I feel like for it to be really meaningful for people, have them sing a song that means something to them that they can kind of own and project. So a lot of times we learn new songs that way. People bring in the stuff that they like from the Christian genre. So,
and you guys, every week it's new stuff.
For the most part, yeah, we'll repeat a song. Sometimes if we've just introduced the song, we might do it 2 weeks in a row. But even so, maybe, this is probably an understatement, but we tend to probably rotate through the same 30-ish songs until someone brings something new. Because from a church,
put a different key every singer.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. Fortunately, most of them are still in friendly guitar keys: E, A, D, G. Occasionally, we get someone who busts out one in F, and you're playing B flat bars and getting carpal tunnel. But back to your question, part of it is to engage people in singing, right? To express themselves. So when we can get to repeating those songs and they get to know those songs, really the idea is for them to sing along. So there is familiarity with the set, if you will.
And you guys are rehearsing once a week?
Yeah, once a week, Tuesday nights. We have a couple hours blocked out. We, spend more time on if someone brought a new song kind of thing. We might listen to it through the sound system. And we have some actually good friends of mine created this app called OnSong, which is a fantastic app. Everyone on this chat should look it up. You can import songs and put them on an iPad, create sets, and you can transpose. You can see what it would look like with a capo. So we have those songs on an iPad. If you change keys, it's a simple touch of a button. We go through those. So we kind of, that changed our lives a lot, being able to just use technology to do that. So you don't spend a lot of time transposing and someone's got a pen out. So it's a couple hours a week and it's fun. We end up jamming a little bit at the end, and like every band can't be quiet when we start. So once in a while. So
somebody, Peter Brown asked if we play any Striper, and I don't think we play any Striper. I may or may not have got caught shoplifting a Striper CD when I was a little kid, but
no, that's a story right there.
That's a whole other story.
I don't think I heard that story.
That's this
is good. Thanks, Hack, for getting this intervention going.
Yeah, my dad to hell with the devil. It's a Christian CD. Oh, well, that makes it okay.
All right. Well, you know what? I've been neglecting the chat, and we got a few more people that popped in here. So let me just welcome the new folks that popped in here. Music Therapy Laz, welcome. There's Chicken Guitars. Now I see her. BB Made is here. Welcome. Who else we got here? And it just jumped on me again. Dwight Bailey, hello, Guitar Hack. We play Bless the Lord, Oh My Soul, Worship His Holy Name.
Yep. 10,000 Reasons. Yep.
Oh, you guys know those ones. Okay.
Know that one. Yeah. I'm not going to know every one people shout out, but that's one. Yeah.
Okay. Oregon Steve is here. Lars Guitars is here. James Severin, welcome. The Live Wires are in here. Rob F is here. Okay, cool. All right. If I miss anyone, just please tag me and I'll be able to catch you.
Can we hit that question from Brad Miller? He asked how Onsong from Planning Center, and there's some similarities. Onsong does it allow you to assign people and do all that? It doesn't do that, I don't think.
No. But you can import.
It's not just a Christian church thing. Like even for your band, Hack. I mean, there's a lot of bands that are using that in all genres to bring music in. It's really cool. Cool.
I was at NAMM with him this past summer, and there was like the editor of German Guitar Magazine, and there was they got approached by one of the, I think it might have been Timothy B. Schmidt from the Eagles out in Anaheim NAMM, that there's only a handful of apps that do what they do. So they have their like pubs and clubs group, and they have the worship space group. But yeah, it's a fantastic app, but it doesn't do all the Planning Center. You can do a team and send out emails and all of that. This is more of an on-stage kind of thing.
Right. What impresses me is that you can get, well, you said you had a set list and you have some stuff, but what impresses me is that you can get 6 songs together in 1 2-hour rehearsal and then perform them that Sunday.
Well, some Sundays you just get the hour rehearsal before you start.
Oh, yeah. Wow. You know,
and I mean, there's like, it's like anything. There's like you go play a blues gig, right? Like once like the 1-4-5 progression of the blues and stuff, there's kind of what's the word I'm looking for?
There's not a complexity to some of this. It's not normal church
formula
music, right? Yeah,
right.
It is 1-4-5, minor.
Oh, okay. And you said earlier you're not playing it note for note, so it's like here's the chord progression, here's how it starts, right. Here's how it ends. You fill in the rest.
Yeah, so it is a little bit loose. I mean, there's certain times that maybe there's a hook that's kind of germane to the song or whatever, but for the most part, I really value the musicians that I play with, and I'm just like, put your own flavor on it. We have dynamics in the song, bring it up, bring it down, that kind of thing. But we're not sitting learning every intricate hook for every song, and a lot of times there's solos in songs as well. And so it's a time for expression that way. And Jason does an amazing job with that. So he can express himself in that way. And maybe we'll take even a second pass coming around. So it's in our environment, it's a little more loose than some others. Some other people use backing tracks and all kinds of things and click tracks and get you locked into something. We're a little bit more organic. So
no, that's cool. That's cool. So Brian Landreth is asking me to ask you about your boards, and we'll get into that part of it in a second. Brad Miller, a lot of times. Oh, Brad Miller's saying a lot of times at the gig, he's referring to his rehearsal. He does it a lot at the gig.
Yeah.
All right, that's cool. Hey, Bobby Lopez is here. Again, if I missed you, just please tag me in the chat, and I'll catch you. All right, so you guys are obviously heavily into the gear.
yeah, that's right.
So I don't know where to start. Let's start with the guitars. So you guys have both been playing for a number of years. I imagine you have pretty decent guitar collections. And then the PRS was mentioned earlier.
Yeah.
So now I don't know if your wives are around. Maybe they're not privy to this information. But if I were to ask you how many guitars each one of you own, would you be able to divulge that?
I don't know if I can give you an accurate number, but it might rhyme with 20, maybe. I don't know, something in that vein.
Oh, wow.
But that's a lifetime of collecting since I was 15. I've only ever sold like 2 guitars. I've sold amps and pedals, but guitars are kind of personal. So not every one of them is like a showpiece, but that's probably my number.
All right.
When I was younger, going to the blues jam, learning to play guitar, I used to listen to the old cats talk about oh, I had this whatever, I had this Les Paul back in the 60s. I wish I never would have sold it. And I made up my mind I was never going to sell a guitar. So I'm with Pat. I'm not 100% sure for various reasons.
He has his on a spreadsheet. Who's he kidding? He'll pull it up.
Well, I can pull it up. And off the top of my head, I'm thinking it's like 20, 25. But
Wow.
again, like some of them, like, are you counting the $130 Firefly in that? Are you counting the?
Sure.
They're not. They're working. They were working guitars, so they're not.
Yeah.
It's not a current core model PRS with birds on it. It's a 2001,
right,
with moon inlays or whatever.
Yeah,
right.
Between the two of us, since you kind of asked, we have 9 PRSs, and there ain't a bird on a single one of them.
Well, no, you guys have some. I think I saw some fairly high-end PRS on your show the other day.
We do. I mean, I'm sitting next to a rack of mine. This is a hollow body single cut, probably my number one. It's a fantastic guitar, but again, dots, no birds. But yeah, I mean, I love them. They're great. Really versatile guitars.
Is it just that you don't like the bird inlays?
No, it's just that like I've bought all of mine pre-owned, and
the dots sound better.
Yeah, that's right. I had a friend who owned a music store, and he would get some pre-owned ones in, and I bought a couple from him, and just none of them had birds, but they all played great. And so, but it's kind of funny because back in the day, I think the birds were like a $280 upgrade when you would buy a guitar. So.
Right. Now they put them on the SEs.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah, how about it?
So we'll keep our moon inlays and feel special.
And there's some that I've come across that have been my former brother-in-law from a past life sold me his 1973 SG Custom.
Wow.
So he could fix his car, and he sold it to me so it would stay in the family, I think for like $400. He called me recently, wanted it back, but I told him I was going to keep it in the family since he's my former brother.
So he went from an in-law to an outlaw. And just kind of like, I'll keep this, thanks. I'll think of you every time I play it.
Wow.
Exactly.
We've got a couple new people popped in here. Bubbler Mom, welcome. Half Face is here.
That's Mrs. Beard, so we have to be careful what we say.
Now we got to watch ourselves.
Okay.
Jason has 3 guitars.
Half Face is here. Welcome. My buddy Dave is in here. R2R3, Lock Nut. Welcome, everybody. Very cool.
She could probably tell you what they all are, too.
Oh, yeah?
Oh, my gosh, yes. Like, that trick of putting them in an old case and carrying them down to the basement wouldn't work, because once they hit the light of day, she would know right away.
Oh, so it's not that she's a guitar fan. It's just that she's watching you like a hawk.
I don't know.
She always goes, this old thing? I don't even know. I've had this forever.
She's a supportive wife. Let's put it that way.
Wow. Where do you get them?
Yeah, where do you find them? I think I got really lucky. I really did.
Well, what you do to keep them is you start a YouTube channel so you talk to like-minded people who love gear and not them. That's what you do.
You stop talking about guitars and start talking about YouTube with them. And then they watch live streams and things about guitars, which I don't really...
That was the funniest thing that happened, because both of our wives knew that we were doing this to just kind of stop bugging them about it. And I guess Jason and Mrs. Beard were in the car, and she goes, it was like right after we launched the channel, because he sets everything up in his basement. He got all the mics, he got the lights, he did all of that. So he's in the car talking about all that. She goes, so you're telling me that Guitartalk has been replaced with YouTube Talk now? Is that what we're doing?
No, that's cool. That's cool. All right, so I guess it's safe to say that you guys are primarily PRS guys. Is that a safe statement? Like, are those your go-to, like your favorite instruments to play?
That's probably fair. We have others. I've got this Fender, this Telly, this American Deluxe Telly that I like playing at times. I have same thing, kind of an American Deluxe Strat. Same situation. If I can get it out here. Whoopsie, man down.
My Pat's recovering.
There we go. Yeah. There's Jason's pedalboard, by the way, while we're recovering. See it over there?
So, yeah, I mean, the number one guitar for me would be the PRS McCarty. It's a 2000 PRS McCarty. Like the go-to guitar that would go to every gig. That would be it.
Right.
But I mean, there's Strats, there's Tellys, there's SGs, the 335, a Guild, a Les Paul. Yeah, I mean, there's other that I don't discriminate. I don't even discriminate by value. You know, like the $180 Harley Benton is cool. So it cracks me up when I'm setting up and then put the PRS out and then pull out like the $230 Tagima Jazzmaster, right?
Right.
You know, and then end up playing the $230 Tagima while the really nice PRS is sitting on its stand. But
well, that's the other thing I was going to ask you. Like, you guys, like are in the 20s in terms of guitars, but do they all get played? And I guess they do. In your case, Jason.
Yeah, I think even in both of our cases, obviously some don't get as much play as others, but
right.
Having the show has helped, right? Because we have this segment we like to call "You Should Try This," and so every once in a while it's a guitar. So I found that having the channel has caused me to bring out different things and play them because, I've got a Tuesday night rehearsal with a rack of guitars sitting here that sometimes I grab a different one, but we record on Monday night. So the show, that was part of the reason of the show too, right? Like it's almost like having musical Alzheimer's at times. Oh, I forgot I had that. So
yeah.
So we try to play them, and once you play one, you're like, "Wow, why did I ever put this one down?" And it's not a bad problem to have necessarily, but
right. And
no, it's a great problem to have.
Doors, like I didn't have any P90s. That Woodstock series Tagima that we did, that we got specifically for the show, was kind of like, I'm going to get it and then get rid of it. There's some buzz about it in the praise and worship community. I love it. It's a great guitar. The P90s on it sound great. There was a Supro Hampton that has like 3 gold foil pickups in it.
Yeah, that's a cool guitar.
That guitar is amazing, man. It's really nice. So yeah, you just start. But at the end of the day,
So are you guys now, because of the YouTube channel, are you buying more guitars? Is that a gateway to buying more guitars?
It has, and I've let Beard carry that load, but most of the guitars he's bought were a Firefly, a Harley Benton, a Tagima, and am I missing one? Like I feel like there was 3, maybe 4, 3. So some lower end ones
that we got in for the show.
Oh, okay. So you buy a guitar specifically just for the show?
Well, because like the Firefly, there was this big thing, like everybody was talking about them online.
Right.
Let's check it out. And I've wanted a Junior for a long time, but I know I'm not going to play a Junior. Like, I'm not going to play a Junior a lot. So do I spend $1,200, $1,500 to buy a Gibson Junior, or do you buy the $139 Junior on Amazon just to play it on the show and check it out? And we already have a friend of ours that wants to buy that off of us.
Oh, okay.
So I mean, when I say I've never sold a guitar, is true, but like if we buy it for the show, then I'm not going to feel guilty about selling it. If that makes sense, right? It's not really ours; it's the show's. So
yeah.
Well, and to that end, we both had our own like reverb stores, but we're kind of creating a storefront for the show that when we do that, we can have a good venue to sell some of that stuff that maybe we bought for the show or that kind of thing. And as we've gone through, we realized that we have some duplicate things. And so can we sell it just to kind of keep the show going, right? And because we're not to the Patreon stage yet, we've got T-shirts and that kind of thing that we don't talk about probably enough. So it's our way of like spending the money and then maybe recouping some of that money just to put it right back in the show.
Right. So what in the streams that I've seen, you guys seem to be the focus has been mainly pedals from what I've seen.
I think part of that is because of the price, right? So if Jason turned me on to Love Pedal, and we were kind of getting their newsletter for their secret super sales, so you could get a $120 pedal for $50 or $60. So we're like, yeah, let's buy some pedals and let's review those. So I think, that's the easier thing, a lower cost thing to buy and try out and maybe flip. So I think that's, to be honest, I mean, I'm monopolizing the time here, but like, I think that's why we gravitated towards pedals, just because that price point is more realistic than buying a $600,000, $700,000, $800,000 guitar. Even the guitars that Jason's purchased have been from like $140 to $240.
Right, right.
almost like an expensive pedal.
And we like going out. I mean, the other thing, so we've done mostly pedals, but those are kind of like filling stuff in, creating content in that first year. We've done some of the field trips, which have been some of, I think, our favorite ones, where we've gone out to a couple different people's houses and talked to them about what they're doing. Gone to a couple guitar stores and met with them like before they open and kind of did little interviews with the owners and things like that. Yeah. We haven't done a field trip in a little while yet, I guess.
We were at the Philly Guitarshrow last Sunday, and we got a quick interview with some friends of ours who make these custom guitars, Alsip guitars. They sent one back with us to try out, but that was sort of an impromptu one. Like the Philly Guitarshow is only like an hour and 40 minutes from us, so it's kind of foolish to not go and like check it out. So, but we love we have a lot of friends in the musical community, right? We both have been in this region for a long time and have different sets of friends. So between the two of us, we pulled in people that we know that we think have interesting collections or interesting stories, and have gone and met with them. And we do like hearing that, right? Stories about why somebody started a music store, or in the case of my friend in Nashville, who I knew for a long time, how intertwined his dad was with his musical journey. So it's been really cool to hear people's stories about, because music's a very personal thing, right? It's not just something we do to pass the time. There's a real connection with music and with people. So we accidentally found out that, wow, we really like that. It's just a little harder to schedule that sometimes to get out, but it's pretty easy to get a pedal sent to your front door and plug it in on a Monday night. But
yeah. I just wanted to, a couple more people popped in. If I haven't said hello, excuse me. Dave is here, my buddy from Arizona. Hey, Dave, how are you, man? Chicken Guitars, Guitarhack. Joe Hervey wants to know their favorite pickups and why. There's a question for you.
What was the question? Sorry.
Joe Hervey wants to know your favorite pickups. Why?
See, that's interesting, because I have never... I've been pretty simplistic in some ways, that it's like, oh, it's a humbucker or a single coil or a lipstick. There you go. That's it. Right. So for me, it was more about the guitars I bought. I kind of like the feel and the sound. I didn't necessarily buy it for a specific pickup, but I will say this, of the PRSs that I have, they all have different pickups. So I don't know that I'm really hot and heavy on one particular one. I just kind of, when I pick up a guitar, if I like the way it sounds. So I'm a little more simplistic that way, maybe. I've never modified a guitar. Well, that's not true. I've modified one, but I had a Japanese Strat that a friend of mine gave me, a set of Texas Specials that I had him put in. Outside of that, like my friend Brody jokingly says, I want to keep it the way the creator intended it, the creator being the person who built the guitar. Right. So I've never really modified it. So I haven't really kind of gotten into the pickup chasing game, if you will, just because I just have played the ones that came in a guitar. So,
what about you, Jason?
So my number one would be that 2000 McCarty.
Yeah.
Number two is probably a Swamp. It's like a 2000 Swamp Ash Special, and it has McCarty humbuckers in it. And then
number three,
a close second to that is a McCarty hollow body that has. It's a 2001 that has McCarty pickups in it. So I don't know. Maybe the PRS McCarty pickups would be my favorite.
Well, yeah,
maybe.
Yeah.
So I mean, it's kind of what Pat was saying. The only pickups I've ever swapped out. I'm thinking about this.
That Les Paul.
The Les Paul, I swapped out those original pickups for a set of Thornbuckers because they were supposed to be kind of PAF, low output.
How do you like the Thornbuckers?
I like them. I'm still struggling with getting the volume pot. I'm really picky about the volume pot. I want it to, when you start to roll up, I want it to catch right away, and I want it to have a nice smooth taper the whole way up. Like, I don't want that where, the typical Les Paul where you get the big jump and then you get a bigger jump around 6 or 7 or whatever it is. I want it to have, and the PRS's pots do a really nice job of that, which is probably one of the reasons I like them so much. Because it's all volume knob. I turn the amp on, turn the overdrive pedal on, and roll the volume to how much gain I want. Oh,
you have the volume. Yeah, that's one thing I don't I don't even need pots on my guitars. They could all be just 10.
Right.
I don't need pots, tone pots, volume pots. Everything's on 10.
That's old blues guys, man. Those guys used to hound me, because I did that. Clean volume on 10, and when you want to take a solo stomp on the pedal, and
exactly.
They would hound me about, you got to play the volume pot. You got to play the volume pot. And they got through. They were successful. And So
I'm with you. I'm with you, Hack. I'm with you, Hack. I mean, for the most part, all of my volume and tone are wide open, kind of with the exception, depending on what guitar I'm playing. If I go to the bridge pickup, I might just slip my hand down there real quick and take that tone from like 8 to 10. Outside of that, I pretty much leave my volume wide open. I use a volume pedal, but mostly for some swells maybe, or just silent tuning. I'm kind of with you. Let's open them up and just let them play. But
Yeah.
I've experimented a little bit. You can coax different things out of your guitars if you're willing to do that, but it's so much easier just to set it and forget it, right? Rip the knob off and just go.
Yeah, that's pretty much what I do. Brian Landreth has a question. He's asking me to ask you about your friend that takes a mandolin to blues jams.
That's Jason's friend. It was a great interview. We went to his house. That was fantastic.
Ray Santana, he's a character. He's a good guy.
Well, tell him the story. He carries the mandolin into the...
Yeah, he plays mandolin. He dabbles like in every instrument. Like if it has strings on it, and you would probably, I don't know proficiency on any of them, but like he knows the tunings for how many different lap steels and how many mandolins and baritone mandolins and everything. And he takes his mandolin, and he's probably talking about that one comment he made where first time he walked into the blues jam, they were like, we don't play bluegrass or country or something.
You said they said we don't play that kind of music here.
And he said this mandolin doesn't play that kind of music either. Or something like that. But he's a great guy. He showed up at the blues jam one time and gave me a guitar. Like years ago. Said my friend gave me this. I thought of you. I thought it'd be a good slide guitar because the blues jam rock band I was playing and would do a couple slide tunes. He said, I thought of you. I thought this would be a good guitar for that. And it's sitting like right behind me. So I could probably grab it.
Yeah, he's a great guy. I hadn't met him, but Jason talked about him all the time. And that was one of our field trips, right? We went over to his house. And
so he gave me this.
Oh, yeah.
So let's see if we can do this on this computer.
Vox. Yeah.
Yeah, this is probably like a 70s Vox guitar. I mean, came with the guitar, right?
Right.
You can't see it on the camera, but I think it's caving in a little bit here, and
excuse me.
probably a little out of tune.
That's great.
I don't play it very much, but it's one of those like sentimental ones. Man, I could never sell this, right? Because a friend
somebody
thought of you and gave it to you. It's cool.
Mike himself is here. Hey, Mike, how are you, man? James Severn, Hack's guitars go to 11. Sure. Cool. So, yeah, I see like a lot of pedals coming in and out. When you guys are getting all these pedals, are these just you're buying them because you want to hold on to them, or you're buying them because you want to put them on the channel and then you want to put them on your reverb site later? Like,
That's a sickness.
Yeah, exactly. We got bad gas, that's for sure.
Because pedals, well, I don't have to tell you, that's a rabbit hole and a half, man.
Yeah.
So now I've been buying like, because we want to do this series on Leslie pedals, and
Right.
At some point along the way, I got the idea that we could like not just do a series about Leslie pedals, we could do all of the Leslie pedals, because there's really not that.
I had no idea.
Yeah, it's not like drive pedals
universe,
or delay pedals, right? You could never do you couldn't even figure out what all the drive pedals available are.
No, everybody and their nephew makes a drive pedal.
Right. Yeah. Leslie pedals is a little different. There's not as many. And we reached out to some companies and said, we want to do this. And we just had today. Sorry, I got to get up again. But
while he's doing that, that's been amazing that Jason crafted an email telling him we want to start this thing, and companies started sending this stuff. It was unbelievable.
That is amazing that you guys are getting that kind of response from companies, because normally, I mean, they'll look at your channel and say, well, they don't have 100,000, so
right.
Send them in.
I think it's because of Jason's idea to do something that's a little bit unique.
So that came yesterday.
Right.
That's a pretty serious DSL effects, rotospin. And he did. He went out, he's like, well, let me look at the channel. And he went out, looked at the channel, and he's like, I like the idea. And now, not everybody has like that.
Yeah.
Not everybody has sent us stuff. I mean, it's been 4 or 5. But the ones I have, I mean, that's pretty cool that they. And then this came, which this is all the way from China. So even like Muir was willing to send out their little Soul Shiver pedal that has a rotary function on it.
Cool.
So it's cool. I mean, we have like all different, from pedals that have lots of options where you can speed them up and slow them down and set ramp times and things like that, to pedals that just emulate kind of in one thing. It was pretty cool.
Right.
Looking forward to starting it. I'm starting to get a little nervous about it.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, I was great. Like Jason, had the initiative to do it, sent out all the messages, and Fender was one of the first ones to send us something.
Wow.
It's just like, are you kidding me? Like Fender, on one hand, I'm like, well, it's Fender, they can afford to do it. And on the other hand, it's like, it's Fender, like they're going to want a good representation of their product. So it's kind of, we don't take it lightly. It's just been really interesting and overwhelming and humbling for this particular series, because these Leslie pedals are not cheap. I mean, many of them have a retail over $300,
Right.
and we've had more than one company send us ones in that ballpark. And I mean, even Keeley sent us something at an incredible discounted price. So it's been interesting. It's been, I would have never expected that to happen.
Yeah. Well, that's amazing.
Yeah,
I'm stunned every time I think about it. I'm just like, are you kidding me? Yeah, right.
And I think
Jason
a lot of
will
it had
share
to do with let's do this.
Yeah.
Like, what's different? Let's try and do a series and put together kind of a one-stop shop. And then the second you can say to a company, well, Fender sent us theirs. Right. So, and into our favor, I already had a Hughes and Kettner Rotosphere that's on my board over at the church that I use all the time. I already had a Strymon Lex. So we're starting out with two really nice, lovely pedals. So when I send them the list of what we have and what's been sent, like, you know what I mean? Like, like we're putting together a series that's going to include almost all the Leslie pedals. Do you want to have yours included? Well, that's what you have. Sure, you want yours included, right?
Right.
But then there's companies like Hammond, and they didn't even answer.
Right.
They didn't even they didn't answer the first or the second email. So.
Well, and I think the thing that I learned from this is, like, I always joke about that these live streams are like going to somebody's house, going to a party, right? So a lot of times when you go to a party, you're like, well, who else is going to be there? And what are they serving, right? So when Jason, again, had this idea to do this, he started talking about who we wanted to include and who was included. And they're like, oh, that sounds like a good party. I think I want to go to that party. Right. So in some ways it's that simple. But again, I mean, I feel really fortunate that companies have done that. And it starts this snowball avalanche effect that I just never saw coming. No, but now we have to do it justice.
Yeah. No, that's very cool. Waleed's got a question. Can you ask them about more overall quality? It's my next purchase.
How about I take that one, Jason? On a board that I don't have here because it's my travel board, because we have 2 locations for this church. We did an episode on it, and I have 3 of the Spark series pedals. They're the little, like, small squares. I have a distortion, an overdrive, and tremolo, and they're great. I like them a lot. The only Moore pedal that I was disappointed in was the Shim Verb, and I think it's from that same series, size and everything that Jason just held up. That's the only one I didn't like. Shimmer's kind of a weird thing. It's kind of a worship space kind of effect. I have a Electro-Harmonics Canyon that does that. So I was trying to get something on the cheap to do that.
Right.
I wasn't happy with that pedal, but every other Moore pedal I've played is great for the price. I watched that video. This isn't a shameless plug, but
Shimmer probably is priced. Some things are price dependent, right? The more you spend, the better it is. Right. The algorithms behind the Shimmer effect might be one of those things.
So I can especially vouch for the Spark series, and they're cool. They're really small and they light up. I'm a sucker for lights, but the Moore Spark series is great.
Well, I mean, I've got right beside me here. I've got a pedal, China, pedal made in China. Mm-hmm. That's supposed to be a copy of a Timmy pedal.
Okay.
and I just took it off my board the other day. I think it might go on before the gig. I got a gig tomorrow night, and it's this one right here. It's a K-Line Pure Sky.
Yeah,
and this thing's amazing. It was, and keep in mind Canadian money, this was about $40.
well, we have the K-Line Highway. What's the one?
Highwayman?
Highwayman. I got that on like Facebook Marketplace for like $25. It's great. It's like a tube screamer type. So
Right.
K-Line's another one that we have very limited experience with, but the ones we have been great.
Yeah.
That Donner delay pedal we have is another one like that too.
Yeah. So there's, they're out there. You just, I guess when it comes to that, it's really hit or miss. But if you're lucky enough to find someone that's reviewed it, it's worth taking a chance.
Well, it's a kind of an extension of that question. The Behringer line that came out a little while ago, we bought several pedals from there. I have a vintage tube screamer that I joke because we did a show on it that, thank God, I paid $50 from it from a family member about 30 years ago because we put it up against the Behringer, whatever it's something 800, $25 pedal, literally a $25 pedal, and it was like almost indistinguishable difference.
Wow.
So that Behringer line, if you're not familiar with it, you can look up the Behringer line. I think Josh Scott, JHS, we love watching his shows. He did a whole series and talked about which ones he thought they got right. They're like $25 or $30.
Yeah.
Brand new from Amazon Prime even.
Yeah. No, there's definitely some hidden gems there. 6-string Stanger is in here. Welcome. Soda's here. Thanks for popping in, everybody. We got 53 people watching.
Well, Hack, we didn't do this in the beginning, man, but we really appreciate you doing this. I love at the end of your show when you talk about the positivity of these communities and support each other. I mean, from starting with Brian Landreth kind of turning us on to some of these things, and for you having us on, this is unbelievable. I mean, this is something else I didn't really see coming, right? Like, we wanted to start conversations. We wanted to talk to people about gear,
right,
talk about our honest experiences, and this experience you're providing us tonight is fantastic, and we appreciate it a lot.
Well, it's a pleasure for me to do this. I mean, I every show I do, like you were saying, about supporting the community, and part of it is, channels like yourselves or other channels. Not that I'm a big channel, right? I'm a small channel too, but I mean, me giving you guys a platform to, for other people to get to see your channel. By the way, folks, I should have mentioned this. The link to their channel is below in the description. So you should be subbing PJ and the Beard because they've got some amazing content and they're good dudes.
Well, I forgot to turn notifications off on my phone. We've had at least 3 new subscribers since this started. So.
We've had about 8, and that's really
okay.
that's
there you go.
Sorry, I cut you off, but yeah.
Mission accomplished, right? So, and I when I was smaller and people were getting me on and promoting me, I'm like, it's all about paying it forward and growing the community, and I mean, it's amazing. Like, I've learned a lot of stuff just through these chats and like talking to you guys. Like Leslie pedals for me, like, I didn't know they existed.
Well, we might have a few for sale.
That's right.
No.
Well, real quick, Jason put together a YouTube playlist of songs.
Yeah, I did.
That are really famous songs that have used Leslie effects, and you would probably recognize a lot of them. So you probably more familiar with it than you actually know.
Yeah,
it's a distant cousin or closely related cousin to the Univibe, basically.
Right. We're going to talk about our boards in a minute, but before we get into that, like, one thing that I have a pedal board and it's not that big. And as much as I'm tempted to get a bigger board, I don't want to, because that'll just put more pedals on it.
Right.
It's like I've got a very limited space. So that hopefully will prevent me from that. Being said, all that means is that I have more pedals that are just sitting on a shelf over there. We
have quite a few on the shelf. They rotate though.
So let's get into the board. So what pedals are on your board right now?
It's easy for me to answer, I'm laughing because the Beard is like, we keep talking about his pedal board that's here at the church, and a little bit of the monstrosity it is because it doesn't have to move, right? But my pedal board to my right here, I might untether myself from the power cord and walk over there. But for me, I have like a Buddha wah, an Ernie Ball volume pedal. I have a pedal that I picked up since the show started. It's a Rockworks overdrive. I have a BB preamp from Exotic Effects. One of my prized possessions is a Cesar Diaz tremodillo. Then I have a Carl Martin Red Repeat and a TC Electronic Nova delay and a TC Electronic Canyon. So I like delays. I have two on my board, one with tap and one without. I sort of leave my one delay on all the time, kind of almost like a reverb for me. I'm not a huge reverb guy, so I've kind of had delay do that. And then I have one that I like to be able to tap in a little bit of the tempo depending on what song we're doing. So it changes slightly sometimes because of the channel, or just having started the channel and having to go back and look at what gear I have. Might swap out a drive pedal or here or there or a delay. But that's I like to say I like a wah, a volume, overdrive, delay, and something that warbles, whether it be a tremolo, vibrato, something. That's kind of what I do. And I like to run my time bass effects through the loop of my amp. I think it makes a big difference for me, at least.
Yeah, for sure. And
that's
Jason,
mine. Yeah.
What's well, do you
want me to do it
on your board that he has in his?
You want me to do it?
Looking for a picture. There's a.
I don't know how to flip it, but
there's a love pedal, fuzz pedal, normally a fuzz pedal that I very rarely use, but right now I think the MK2 is on there. There's the G Labs Wowie Wah, which is really cool. Like I like wah pedals you don't have to step on. You have to click a switch to make them work, so it has like that kind of the G Lab, like when you step on it, it engages it from the pressure of your foot.
Right.
It's really cool. I used to use like a Morley Bad Horsey, but they make so much noise I've been actually just switched that out. So wah tuner. I'm trying to think. So overdrive is pretty much always a Barber Electronics overdrive. The direct drive. Even though I have a King of Tone or two sitting around.
Oh wow!
I just keep getting on the list. There's two of them. I keep getting on the list. They're great. I like the direct drive just as much, and that's what I've used. So anyway, so for a drive, and then some other drive that kind of rotates in and out. Right now, it's that JTM pedal that Brian Landreth turned me on to is on there. So we do overdrive. There's a chorus pedal. We had the Golf by Swingler Effects on there, but I just switched that back to the TC Electronics, the third dimension. I know Ben Combs uses that too. It's one of the 4 buttons on it. It's kind of like the Dimension C that Boss does. It's awesome pedal, awesome chorus. If you like chorus, which I wasn't a big chorus guy, but that pedal's really cool. It's chorus, the Hughes and Kettner Rotosphere. So that Leslie pedal is in the loop. And then there's a DM2, Boss DM2 analog delay.
Right.
I think the one at the church is the Waza, and then I have like an original one at home. And then the Nemesis delay by Source Audio is on there.
Wow. Which
is great. It's an awesome delay. It does a million things, and I use it for one setting. I got 4 presets, but I only ever use one. A reverb pedal from Matthews Effects, the Astronomer. So it has like 2 rows of reverb, and you can do like the shimmer thing if you want. And I think that's it. It looks bigger than what it is because it's like on this big board and it kind of wraps around and it has like a channel switcher. So I got to read music. we had not charts, right? We got to read chord charts. So I can't be like trying to jump all over the board. So I put everything in like a 10 loop switcher.
Right.
So like that's all like right in front of me is this loop switcher, and right next to it is the on and off and fast and slow for the Leslie. So everything's kind of like right here, but the whole board is like kind of spread out. And
right.
It's embarrassing. Anybody would look at it and be like, why is this board that big for those pedals? But.
And do you use them all?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I mean, there's nothing. Well, I know what I forgot. There's the Red Mountain tremolo from Swindlers on there too, which was interesting. We did a show on that. Pat called out that it sounds like it drops its bass. Swindler Effects saw it on our channel and said, "What's the serial number?" Because the early ones did drop the bass. It ended up being an early one. He had us send it back to him.
Wow.
Put the modification in and gave it back to us, and we did another show on it. We're like, yeah, the bass is better. Well, I took it in there, put it back on the board, and and Hank, you'll know this. Some pedals sound amazing. Like that for me, the full tone OC2 or whatever it is, OCD.
Yeah.
Sounded amazing in the store, sounded amazing in my basement when I got it like 10 years ago, 12 years, 15 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
I thought this was great. I swapped it out right away. I went to play the gig. By the third song, I pulled it off my board and put the direct drive back on. Because in the basement, AB in them, it blew the direct drive away. But when you get out in a live situation, right, when you're playing with the band, the way you cut through the mix and stuff is totally different.
Mm-hmm.
That one just sounded better. It didn't sound as good to me then.
Yeah, somebody was just mentioning that our Oregon Steve was saying Guitarhack, they need some Lawrence Petros pedals. So Lawrence Petros, I mean, you guys are saying off air that you saw my show with Lawrence. He's based in Arizona and he makes pedals. I've got 3 of them right now, and his pedals, and like you were talking about the live situation, they're very present, and they're I don't want to say bright because that has a negative connotation, but they'll rip your face off. Like you hear them.
They rip your face off in the nicest way possible.
In the best way possible.
Surgically.
Yeah. They don't leave any scars. No, but they're very present on the board, right? Yeah. So I have a pedal that I've loved for years and years, and I was my favorite overdrive for the longest time. It's the Plimsoll by Fulltone.
Yeah.
And that pedal gets buried when I'm playing with, and I play with a second guitar player, and that pedal just disappears. I'm not heard. And then I swap that out for one of Lawrence's pedals, and I am heard. So it's that kind of thing, right? It's, the sound that you mix with the band, if you play that on its own, you'd probably think that's kind of piercing and whatever. But then within the context of the band, it works.
Yeah.
And those pedals have that ability to just like cut.
Some of them sound so good, on their own.
Yeah.
When you drop them in over top of other players, it really it's not what you expected, I guess.
Well, the nice thing about this channel is it lets me scratch that itch of making it as big and huge as you want it to sound. Right. Because a lot of times the sound that I like doesn't always sit well in a mix. I went to a recording studio one time, and the producer gave me a hard time, and I was kind of offended at first. And then when I really sat back and listened to what he was saying, you have to sit somewhere in the mix, right? And like if you just soloed that, it would sound almost terrible sometimes, right? Not what you'd want to hear. Yeah. But it's kind of what you need sometimes. But this channel has at least afforded us to be able to twist knobs and make it the biggest, hugest sound that you want. And I've had that same experience. I can't give you an exact pedal, but we've demoed a pedal down there in the Beard Cave, and I brought it here and put it on my board and going, yeah, it's not really working for me. But it was great down in the basement, right? When you're cranking away by yourself. And
yeah, you got to pick your spot, literally.
Yeah.
And I almost feel I almost feel like I'm betraying the pedal by taking it off the board because it's never been off the board.
Right. Sorry, my friend.
Sorry, man.
Time to go. You don't have to go home. You just can't stay here.
You've been replaced, but that's the way. Oh, Metalhead Hippie is here. Welcome. And he's got a question. What do you guys think of the Rev G3 G4? The rough pedal.
I've got no experience with it.
Yeah, me neither. I know. I've been seeing it. I've been seeing Rev a lot, like on the YouTube feed and stuff. Like, but I haven't even watched any of the episodes that people put out about it yet.
I have very limited experience with. I tried it at Cosmo Fest, which was like a thing they had here locally. So they had vendors and they had the rev guy there, and I was trying it, and it's it's a very aggressive overdrive pedal, like talking about cutting and all that. That's the sound you want. So yeah, it's not my cup of tea because I'm more of a hard rock guy. To me, it's more sort of leaning towards the more metal sort of thing, right?
Yeah.
But
Well, you have to have more metal, right?
more metal.
Metalhead hippie.
Yeah.
Dad, who's always saying more metal? Is that
Sorry?
who's always saying more metal at every show?
Oh, that's
Joe Harvey.
Joe
Yeah,
Harvey.
Yeah. Dan in New Jersey is here. Welcome.
Yeah, man.
He says he sold his OCD. He hated it.
Yeah, I sold mine too.
You know, the thing with OCD pedals, I am told, is that there's, I don't know, 6 versions of it.
Yeah.
Maybe 7, and they're all slightly different. So, because I tried an OCD pedal myself, and I bought the Plimsoll because I thought the Plimsoll blew it away. And then someone was saying, well, what version did you try? And I don't know.
Right. I have one that I like. It's just the switch is not working right. So it kind of went off the board and I haven't taken it somewhere to get fixed. And I don't know. Again, someone's like, what version? I said, I don't know. I played it and I like the way it sounded. I'm not sure.
I think mine was a version 1 or 2.
Hey, Gary Tholander, thanks so much, man. Tholander just gave me a super chat. Thanks, buddy. You rock. All right. If anyone, yes, folks, if you have questions for these gentlemen, please put them in to the comments. I have their link below in the description. If you're not sub to PG and the Beard, by all means, go ahead. So you guys do the one weekly live chat on what night is it? Tuesday?
Monday nights.
Monday nights. Okay.
9:30.
And then do you have like a regular, I mean, that's your regular thing. Do you have like a regular video that you release?
Yes, every Wednesday at noon, a video goes out. And
Okay.
I mean, when we started this, it was kind of like, do you think we could get a video out once a week? Maybe if we can record a couple ahead of time and get like a stockpile and we could do it one a week. But I think for a lot of this, most of this year, this first year, we've been doing every Wednesday and Saturday. There's been a video that's gone out.
Mm-hmm.
Wednesday's more like the pedal demo and stuff, and then like Saturdays can be like some of the interviews that we do with people, and like we'll put out the interview that we did with Alsip Guitars on at the Philly show. We'll probably put that out this Saturday. So Saturday is normally something like that, and then some kind of gear that we were trying out here in the basement. On Wednesday.
Meryl J just popped in. Welcome.
I don't know how long the 2 a week will last. But I mean, we're starting out. We wanted to get some content out too. Like we wanted to. It's funny because there's not it's never been about for us like, let's grow exponentially. Let's get the subscribers. Let's get to 1,000 so we can do that. It's just been about hanging out. But it is cool to see like the subscribers come. Took forever to get to 100, like forever. 200 came like within 2 months of 100. 300 came like within a month of 200 or something like that. And because of your show tonight, we've got up 15 subscribers since you started, which is neat. I mean, that's really cool.
That's
we really
awesome,
appreciate
man.
everybody that's clicked that button out there.
I'm glad I can help, guys. Oh, it's awesome. Meryl J is here. Yeah, Quinn James is talking about get the Lawrence Petros 87 pedal. That's a fantastic pedal. That's on my board right now. Hey, Guitar Fish is here. Welcome. So, yeah, that was the last thing I was going to get into with you guys. So, yeah, what are your, I guess, aspirations for the channel? Where would you guys like to see it go?
We have no aspirations.
Have any?
Yeah.
And you know what? That's the best answer right there.
There's goals, but there's like mini goals. Like, let's do the Leslie series.
Right.
Like, that's the goal right now.
Yeah, go ahead.
The big thing is, so why are new subscribers are cool and the comments are cool and stuff, because it does kind of motivate us a little bit to make sure it keeps happening.
Mhm.
If we kept doing it and nothing was happening, it would be like, should we just be hanging out in the basement and talking and not
turn the camera off? Yeah, right.
turn the camera off?
Right.
The fact that people seem to be receptive to what we're doing, and we know we when we first started, I think it's still to this day. I don't know about how you feel about this, Hack, but when you have the camera rolling and you're playing the guitar,
oh God, don't get me started on that.
yeah,
It's like I've never played a guitar in my life.
It's like trying to type when someone walks up behind you while you're typing. You can't type all of a sudden. It's the same with guitar.
It's intimidating.
Yeah.
You have that. I feel like you're always thinking about like, okay, so what should I be playing that people aren't going to criticize or people are going to enjoy or people.
Right.
And so now after about 8 months or whatever it's been, there are moments, there's brief glimpses of actual playing happening.
That's when you forget that you're playing from the camera.
Right. So, and I think it's probably a lot easier with the two of us kind of playing off each other. I don't know how you do it by yourself.
Yeah. I thought about that. Yep.
It really sucks. Thanks, Jeff Miller, for the super chat. Appreciate it, man.
But I mean, it's not trying. We're not trying to prove anything. We're just hanging out, talking guitars. And if you want to hang out and talk guitars with us, that's awesome. It's
the funny thing is, like I was saying earlier, like I'm going to be playing a gig tomorrow, right? And I'm going to be playing probably 45 songs, guitar solos. I'm the lead guitar player, so I'll be playing 35, 40 lead tomorrow. No problem. If you ask me, put a guitar in my hands right now while the camera's on and say play any one of those solos, it'll be a dog's breakfast, only because the camera's on. But it's the weirdest thing. I wish I could get over it, and I like to play when I'm on camera. And the only time that I'm actually, like you said, like when you kind of like forget the camera's on, that's when you're actually playing decently. And then when you realize, oh gee, and then you just forget. Like I'll have actual gaps where like I completely forgot what I just played while I'm playing it. It's the camera really does a job on me.
And I can't play 4 chords over and over again for any length of time without messing with PQ. And I'm not editing it out. The last video we did this week on Monday night, oh my gosh, I just start laughing. And you can't hear me laugh because the mics are turned off, but you can tell that you'll hear me mess up and that I know. And, yeah, I guess we could edit it and start over. But
I think in the 9 months or 10 months, whatever it's been, I think maybe 4 times maybe edited out something because it was just like so bad or it's kind of distracted from what we were doing. But for the most part, you get it. What you see is what you get. And most of the time we laugh it off because we try not to take ourselves too seriously. Yeah. Because we really are doing it just 2 guys hanging out, getting to know each other and talking about gear. And, we all know a million guitar players that are better than us. And so,
yeah.
Matter of fact, at Alsip, the guitar, the maker that's from Atlanta that ran into them at the Philly show, the one guy that's the partner in the business, he's one of the best guitar players I know. It's like when he's around, I don't even want to touch a guitar. But it's fine. You are who you are, right? You have your abilities, you have your strengths, your weaknesses, and that's what's kind of cool. Like I was saying earlier, with Jason and I having different backgrounds, we play differently, and we kind of play off each other sometimes, and we just try to have a good time with it. We really don't try to take ourselves too seriously, and don't fix all the mistakes, and it is what it is.
Yeah, I try to sort of cut off the whole criticism of playing by calling myself Guitarhack. I figure
that's pretty good.
That's right. You name your channel guitar. I mean, yeah.
I'm playing. Putting that forward. So keep in mind, if you're criticizing, you're just basically reinforcing the name. That's like
the best lesson on this is Ryan Burke from 60 Cycle Hum. Because have you ever seen, like he takes some heat sometimes for his guitar playing, but the way that he responds to that heat that he gets. Like there's a lesson in there for every aspiring YouTuber. I can't give you any examples off the top of my mind, but he'll post sometimes to Instagram some snarky comment somebody has made and his response to it. And it's not him being rude.
No, he blacks out their name too. It's just like
his response isn't rude. It's just there's a grace that he does that is pretty. It's pretty cool. If you haven't seen that, you have to look for it.
Now you got me curious. I got to check that out.
Yeah,
Jason can send it to
you. He does. He is good at responding to criticism.
Yeah, yeah. All right. So we're a little over an hour. We're getting up to an hour and 10. So I'll take this pause to do my regular speech that we were talking about earlier. So, folks, we got a fantastic community here. I want to thank you all so much for tuning in. We still have 51 people in here. Yeah, let's all support each other. Comment on each other's videos, put content out. Don't be shy. We're all here to help each other out. Sub these two gentlemen. The link is below. Also below, I've had my hack merch 15% off for, I think I'm going on 3 weeks now. If anyone is interested in hack merch, shirts, hoodies, we had our first snow today, so it's getting kind of cold now. The link for that is below. I also have a Facebook page and an Instagram. If you're not following me on Facebook page or Instagram, please do that, because there's a lot of content I'll throw on that I haven't, that might not appear on the YouTube channel. So check all that stuff out. Any last questions, folks? If you have them, please throw them in. And while we're waiting for those, did you guys have any things you wanted to mention before we shut this up?
I have so I did some research online and found a bunch of tunes that have the Leslie in. And I put it in a playlist. It's been a private playlist, but I could make that public and send that out. So if people want to get, it's a killer list of songs, right? Of bands that have done this. So I'll try and make that public. And I don't think I can post it, but maybe I could. How would we get that link in the chat?
You want to put that link in the chat?
Could I send that to you?
If you send it to my email, like right now, I can just cut and paste it and I'll throw it in there. It's probably the quickest way to do it.
Let me
Oregon Steve just subbed you guys, by the way. Thanks, Oregon Steve.
Yeah. I just got to remember how to edit that. So give me 1 second and I'll make that public and I'll send it over to you.
No worries.
Yeah.
Access 2084, welcome. Hey, Quentin. I don't know if I said hello, Quentin. Hey, Quentin, how are you, buddy? Quentin is wearing pants, guys, so we're all safe for this evening.
That's good. I'm not, but you can't see it, so it's fine. That's why I have this tight frame here. You can't see it. No, I mean, I said earlier, I appreciate you bringing this on here. Again, I loved your question about what were your aspirations, and we didn't really have, like, we're not going to take over the world, right? Like, we just try to be realistic, try to be guys that are just honest about what we like. And we try to say every show, it's like, this isn't right or wrong. This isn't a good piece of gear or a bad piece of gear. This is just what we like. Right. And if you like something different, that's fine. Like, that's cool. Like, even Jason and I sort of like different things. And even when we take a pedal, we kind of try to do it like, all right, how would you take this pedal and use it for you? And I try to dial it up for use it for me. So, So that's great. As part of this conversation, people are asking us questions. Have you tried this? You tried that? And making recommendations. It's great. I mean, it's a huge conversation, right? So instead of just two guys sitting on Jason's couch, we're talking to 51 other people now, and they're asking us questions. They're talking about pedals. They're asking us if we've tried this. I mean, this is just like already exceeded expectations in 10 months in. So, again, we can't thank you enough for bringing us on.
No worries. And and the thing with the aspirations too is, like, if you start having those, then you turn this that is supposed to be fun, now you're turning it into a job. And that's the whole thing. Like, the only thing that I do, like, you guys have your Monday. Oops. I guess an email.
Jason's email apparently came through.
All right. Let me just grab that email real quick here.
That it's funny you said that, because when we first started talking about doing this, I think one of the things that kind of sold it for Pat, we both work and do so many things for so many other people. The idea of, let's do something that we create, that we're creating for ourselves, that's ours, that we're not doing for somebody else. Doesn't matter that there's no money in it or that it's a money pit. It's like, let's do that. So that,
I described it as my wife. You kind of feel like life sometimes is one big checklist. I got to do this, I got to do that. And so music, and I love doing music here at the church. Don't get me wrong, but like coming and running a rehearsal is completely different than sitting in Jason's basement and taking a pedal and twisting knobs and talking about gear. Like it's just a complete outlet for something that we love.
Okay.
And I hope that comes across, because that's really, and we keep trying to be genuine, right? Like we have occasional like little meetings of like, what should we do? What should we do? I say, well, I don't care as much what we do. I just want to keep just being ourselves, right? I don't want to take ourselves too seriously. I want to do stuff that's because we want to do it and we don't feel like we have to do it. So it's going to be interesting as we maybe start getting things officially to review. I mean, I kind of felt bad making that comment about Swindler effects, but that tremolo, but I'm like, I think the low end drops out, right? But that turned into a beautiful thing, and that somehow they found it, and she fixed it for free, minus maybe some shipping. So it's just been an unbelievable journey so far for us, and I can't even predict what the future holds, but it's great, and we're going to ride this as long as we can.
Yeah, it's a cool thing to do. I mean, like I know, like you're saying, you're having these things that you didn't expect happening. Like, a lot of cool stuff have happened with myself as well. And I think the biggest part of it is just really meeting people and meeting people and sharing that the interest that we have in gear and music. And I mean, when I do a live stream, I'll see familiar names, and it's literally, it's building community, it's building a friendship, and all based on that common, theme of music and guitars, and man, you learn so much just from talking to people.
Yep.
So it's just a great resource, great resource.
Thanks for putting that link out. If you saw that, that's just, it has like 30 or 40 tunes in it where Leslie guitar through a Leslie, and it's, most of them, I think, are real Leslie, but not all of them, is on there. So some cool stuff in there to check out. Feel free to cue that up and listen to it on your way to work. There's good tunes in there.
All right, cool. All right, so I want to thank everybody for popping in and watching the show. What do you guys got coming up? I guess next is your Monday. Be there next.
Yep.
At what time Monday? 9:30. Right?
9:30.
Yeah.
9:30 Monday, Eastern time. So check out PJ and the Beard's next stream. I'm probably going to be doing something on the weekend. I got a gig tomorrow night, so I usually do an after gig thing. So might be Saturday, might be Sunday, depends. But I'll probably do something then. And hopefully, I just got a new amp. I got to do a review of it. I haven't done it yet. At some point, I'll sit down and force myself to do.
Yeah, get that done, man. I want to hear that. Being a Fender Hot Rod guy, I want to hear that amp.
Well, I'll tell you a quick story about the Hot Rod. I had one, and
I know because you talked about it.
What's that?
I was busting on you because you talked about that, and
yeah, I don't know. Maybe I got a bad one, but I'm telling you, man, this Marshall blows it away. It just does. In terms of like pedal platforms, or just like, I mean, I got a usable dirt on this, 3 dirt channels. It's just, but yeah, I'll sit down and
I'm looking forward to the review.
Yeah, it's cool. All right, folks, have a great night, have a great weekend, and we will catch you all very soon. Take care.
Thanks, everybody. Thank you, Hack.
Thanks, Hack. Thanks to all the subscribers too.